Hey, Tyron, can you just give us kind of your assessment of yesterday's game and kind of the difference between maybe the first couple of half, like the first half and the second half there, where things kind of took a turn?
Yeah, I mean, I'll probably start off by saying, we definitely didn't play our best. I think early in the game, especially that first drive, I believe it was, we had the offside penalty, um, which could have got us off the field. And then we end up playing like 10, 12 more plays that drive. And so that's kind of been like some of the things that have, been kind of hindering us, especially in those kind of third down situations. When we find a way to to get off the field, we just seem to make like some infraction that keeps us on the field, and so I felt like we struggled with that, early on. I thought we put together a few, decent drives defensively. We could have had a few turnovers, a few more sacks. Just looking back on the game, that we weren't able to make those plays. And anytime bust coverages, in the red area, and give those guys 6 points, that's always something that like you can't allow that to happen. So yeah, I think defensively we just didn't play as well and as clean, as we prepared to.
Yeah,
Tyron, is there anything you guys can do over this last week to build like positivity or momentum or like good vibes that could like carry into the off season? Like, is there still like something to gain in this last week?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, man, yeah, I mean, it's been a different feeling, in the building, especially when, after DA got fired and, Coach Rez took over. Like it was a lot of positive things that's happened. You know what I mean? Like locker room energy, effort. Even when you know, we're not playing for the playoffs, but even going back and watching the game, from yesterday, like you see guys giving great effort. Like that play Demario had when he, pushed the guy out of bounds at the 1 yard line. Like had he not given great effort on that play, we wouldn't even had the chance to have the goal line stand. And then Carl makes a great play. Cam gets a sack, and then we hold them to a field goal when they had the ball on the half-inch line. So, I think as long as we can continue to make those plays, and I think we'll be all right. But I mean, it's just been a tough season, overall. But it's a lot of good things that has happened. And I think for us now, you just want to go to Tampa Bay. We know those guys, have to win that game. And so we know it's not one of those games where, we could just kind of check it off, or so we know it's going to be like, it's going to be like a primetime game. Those guys have to win that game. And I think we need to show up, with that intensity, knowing that.
Tyron, how do you feel like you've dealt with the upheaval this season? Just been an extraordinary amount of stuff happening all around the team for the entirety of the season. How have you kind of dealt with, and how do you feel like the team's dealt with it?
I mean, it's been tough. Especially with the way we started the season. And then we kind of go on that 7 game skid. Um, yeah, that was tough, man, because I felt like in training camp that we had really, like we came together. Like it was a closer group. We had a couple new coaches, right? Like it was a lot of excitement, for us. And obviously anytime you go on a 7 game losing streak, man, it slowly but surely it kind of, starts to like, pull away from you, But I've been kind of mostly proud of, just the guys in the locker room, I mean, everybody in the locker room loves each other. We respect our coaches. Um, and so I think like that's a positive. Anytime you're going through a struggling season, it's just like the morale of the team, the mood of the team. We got some good leaders, and then like I said, man, when Rez took over, it was like that extra juice, that extra spark, that we needed.
Tyron, you mentioned the opportunity to get more turnovers in yesterday's game. I think it's 14 takeaways over the first 9 games of the season, but only 2 over the course of the last 7. I think it's easy to kind of point to, the major happening that happened at that same split. But what would you pinpoint as maybe some of the contributing factors to the lack of turnovers over the course of the last few games?
Yeah, I mean, we've had a bunch of opportunities. I rewatched the game from yesterday, and obviously I was credited with 2 pass defenses, but in my mind, that should have been 2 interceptions. So yeah, I mean, it's tough. We definitely dropped the ball, more than a few times. Even fumble recoveries. Like the ball is always on the ground. We just haven't been able to come away with it. So you know, I just think we need to make the plays that come to us. And I think we all have our opportunities to make those type of plays that really change the game. It's like that ball I dropped. I mean, it was a tough catch, but had I made that play, our offense gets the ball inside the 50, like, we back in it, and I just wasn't able to come down with it. And, I think they ended up scoring that drive. And so that's kind of been like, you know, what's kind of been holding us back, the last 6, 7 weeks or so. It's just us not capitalizing, on those opportunities.
Tyrann, I apologize if you were asked about this yesterday, but have you given any thought to just like the uncertainty beyond next week's game, just with yourself, with the whole roster, just after a team goes through a season like this?
Yeah, I mean, I've been doing this a long time, and I think anytime you have a season like this, everybody is being evaluated, right? I don't think nobody, can just walk away saying that, they didn't have a hand in, the way the season played. I think, me included, I think maybe 4 or 5 weeks ago, I stood in front of defense and told the whole team that, like, I can be better, right? And so you take accountability, you try your best to just continue to push forward, in good faith, and just show up to work, man. And just realize too that like this is still a blessing, like this season may not be going, our way or my way, but I think at the end of the day, man, it's still a blessing to be able to do what we do, and I think perspective is, important.
Does the season?
Tyrann, obviously you're still under contract for next year, but like, do you have an idea going into this offseason, like how long you want to play?
No, I'm not sure. Obviously, after every season, take some time off, and you spend it with family. You try to recharge and regroup and reload. I mean, if you're asking me, do I plan on playing football next year? Yeah, I do. I absolutely do.
Yeah, I think you tweeted recently like you wanted to play 2 or 3 more years, but I'm sure heading into the offseason after a long season, every player has to take time away to think about how long they want to keep doing it. So that's just what I was curious about.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, I love this city. I mean, I think everybody knows that. It's been a blessing, be able to come back home, and even though it hasn't gone the way that I envisioned it going. I got a lot of great memories. I got a lot of great relationships that I'll probably have for a very long time. And so, but yeah, I mean, you try not to think too far down the line, but I think at some point you have to, kind of get your affairs in order, or get your goals in order, and know, you want to know what's next, in your life, in your career.
Tyrann, does a season like this one uh kind of stoke the flames a little bit of wanting to return, wanting to come back better, stronger, like having a
Yeah,
down?
yeah, absolutely. I was talking to Alante, about that last night, and neither of us could sleep, last night, as any of you could imagine, and I remember telling him, like, man, like, last season, we were motivated, right? And I feel like this off season would like it kind of ups the stakes, and yeah, so Yeah.
What time were you guys looking out of curiosity? Was it late?
Yeah, I want to say that was like around 12, maybe 1 o'clock, something like that.
Speaking of Alante, just not necessarily your assessment of him on the field, but just sort of the growth. What kind of growth have you seen from him, just in totality with his move to the outside and sort of managing the situation since the Lattimore trade?
Yeah, man. You know, I got a lot of respect for him. You know, I'm extremely proud of him. You know, I probably say, you know, before, you know, things started kind of breaking down and, you know, he had to, you know, move back outside, like he was having an all pro, you know, Pro Bowl type season, right? And I think with, you know, everything that's kind of happened and, you know, obviously him having to go back outside, I think it was another kind of, you know, adjustment, you know, for him. And you know, I think he's made it well. Like he's a tough player, he's competitive. And you know, he'll be in this league, you know, for a long time, you know, if he can stay healthy. But yeah, man, like I think on one hand it's a plus that you can have a guy that can go inside and outside. And, you know, then on the other hand, it's like, you know, we don't hear his name as much, you know, on the outside because he's a good tackler and he can cover really well, you know. But yeah, I mean, I feel like he's the ultimate team player, you know. He's the ultimate pro.
Anything
Thank you, man.
else?
Thank you, Tyrann. We appreciate you.
All right, cool. Appreciate y'all. Thanks.